The best size tank for a beginner is the biggest you can afford. That's just terrible advice that I've heard repeated again and again. The argument goes like this: bigger tanks are more forgiving to beginner mistakes, and that's it. That's the basic argument anyway. Here are some reasons that I can think of why a big tank is bad for beginners. Number one, unfortunately, a lot of beginners don't make it to the end of the first year in this hobby, and a big tank is just a real pain to get rid of. Number two, a large water volume means that you likely won't notice a problem for a very long time, and by that point, you won't have the knowledge base or the energy to deal with it. Number three, when your first eventual bout of nuisance algae hits, you're just gonna have a lot more rock work to remove it from. Number four, in a larger tank, you're gonna want more fish, more corals, and more cleanup crew members, and as a beginner, not only will you not understand the interaction between these animals, but you also won't grasp how each animal will affect the overall health of your tank. Number five, beginners don't have any experience with illness, disease, or quarantine tanks, so when one fish gets sick, there's a high likelihood it will wipe out all of your pets. Number six, big tanks require big amounts of time, and most beginners are looking for a hobby, not a second or third job. So Matthew, what size do you recommend for a beginner? Somewhere between 15 and 80 gallons. Nano tanks under 15 gallons are just too small for beginners. Little mistakes such as overfeeding or an auto top-off malfunctions can have really quick and disastrous consequences in such a small tank. And a tank over 80 gallons will just require a much higher time commitment. A time commitment that a beginner just won't know whether or not they're willing to give yet. Here are 3 tank size recommendations that will likely fit the needs of most beginners. I think the best all-around size aquarium for a beginner is 40 gallons. It's small enough that you can put it pretty much anywhere, but it's big enough that you can have a lot of cool animals. At the 40-gallon size, you're going to have a lot of options available to you. A 40-gallon breeder with a hang-on-the-back filter is an affordable way to get started, especially if you pick up a used tank or wait for a sale at your local fish store. 40 gallons is also the perfect size for an all-in-one tank with a rear filtration chamber that will hide all of the gear. Or for those of you who are really interested in adding whatever piece of gear you can, there are several brands that carry 40-gallon tanks with sumps. Check out the tanks from Innovative Marine and Red Sea in this 40-gallon range. These two companies have the most options, and I've used them both. I'd recommend a 40-gallon tank if you're a beginner who's really excited about this hobby and wants to experiment with a whole bunch of different cool corals. And that you're also okay with smaller fish like clownfish, gobies, damselfish, and dartfish. Moving on to the best nano tank. There's a reason we chose a 15-gallon aquarium for our HelloReef kit, and that's because we believe it to be the best nano-sized tank for beginners. It's big enough for a few small fish, a cleanup crew, and some anemones or corals, but it's small enough to fit on a sturdy desk or countertop, and it's perfect for a school, home, or even an office. What I really love about a 15-gallon aquarium is a simple 1.5 to 3-gallon water change every week. It is both fast and affordable and will likely prevent the vast majority of water parameter related problems from ever even occurring. You'll also be able to learn about the science and maintenance of saltwater aquariums in a small, manageable size system without feeling too overwhelmed. And if and when you're ready for something bigger, you'll already have the knowledge base for success. There are a ton of great 15-gallon aquarium options available. Of course, there's our HelloReef kit, which is a standard cube with a rear filtration chamber and included videos. Innovative Marine, Waterbox Aquarium, and Fiji Cube all make a similar size, and some of these even come in a peninsula style, which is my personal favorite. I'd recommend a 15-gallon nano tank for the saltwater curious. Maybe you're not fully sold on the idea yet, or maybe you just have a few hesitations. 15 gallons is a great way to get your feet wet, to learn the necessary skills, and to really see if this hobby's for you. And if it turns out it's not for you, I can think of 1,000 hobbyists who will gladly take that small nano system off your hands. If you've got early onset reefing fever and you're looking for a tank to cool you down, a 70 to 80 gallon system is just for you. We're officially in sump territory, which opens up a huge amount of space for possible gear upgrades, such as a fleece roller mat, protein skimmer, UV sterilizer, algae scrubber, and so on. An 80-gallon system doesn't just open up the potential for more fish, but different kinds of fish and cleanup crew members that you just couldn't put in a smaller tank. We're talking larger sea urchins, sand-sifting gobies and starfish, mandarin dragonettes and wrasses. You'll be able to have a wider assortment of cleanup crew members that will naturally help keep your tank clean, as well as a wider array of filtration options to really dial in the water parameters to the right levels. And at the 70 to 80 gallon level, there are so many different tanks available from a huge variety of manufacturers such as Red Sea, Aquaforest, Waterbox, MaxSpect, Nios, and Fiji Cube, to name a few. If you want something top of the line that comes with tons of gear like lights, wave makers, roller mats, ATO systems, protein skimmers, and a return pump, go with the Red Sea Reefer Deluxe 350 G2 Plus system. I would recommend a 70 to 80 gallon system for a hardcore beginner enthusiast. I'm not talking about your everyday hobbyist who's interested in trying it out, but an overly enthusiastic beginner who spends a majority of their free time researching and dreaming about reef aquariums. Click here for another great video from HelloReef, and until next time, be well and happy reefing, everybody.